All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody. I am here with my amazing client, Kim. She's been in our Fit for Life program for, a long time. I lost track.
Like 9 months.
Like, I was going to say,
9 months.
almost a year, 9 months. So, Kim, why don't you just tell everyone who's watching just a little bit about like where you're from, what you do, kind of your background, in health, where you were before you started, all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, my name is Kim. I am in a suburb in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So it's really cold right now. It's much colder than where you are. I am a mental health clinical pharmacist at the Minneapolis VA. So very busy right now in the pandemic. But
busy would be an understatement.
Yeah. But before finding your program, I unfortunately was wrapped up in the Beachbody world.
Women watching can relate to. So
yes, I was running 6 to 7 days a week. I was doing that on top of Beachbody workouts every day. So basically, double workouts every single day with really no days off, if we're being honest. In addition to that,
team no days off, not something we promote in our program.
No. And in addition to that, I just based on how much I was doing, I was really under fueling, following the Beachbody
She just clarifies so people understand, you were training for marathons. You weren't just like leisurely running like 2 miles a day. You were like advanced runner, running a lot, then lifting, and probably eating, what do you think, 1,200 calories a day?
Probably. I mean, just based on how many calories I was probably burning I was running like 5 to 8 miles a day in addition to doing, like HIIT training, limited strength training, and then, long runs and stuff like that. And doing multiple marathons every year. So I was really under fueling my body and just, wrapped up in that world. And basically before I found you, I'd had it because I was so upset with just how hard I was working. You would think I would be, look a certain way,
I think Abby, one of our other clients, said that too, like working out so hard or, being very consistent, and just not seeing the changes you want to see. And at a certain point, you're just like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. What kind of made you realize that?
Just how I felt. One thing that I didn't mention, I do have lupus. So I kept blaming it on that. And
it's my hypothyroid. That's why I'm always tired. Like I told
you. And I was just so sick of feeling like a 60-year-old. And I was gaining weight, which was a huge red flag to me, because I was doing all the things, and before coming into your program, I ate really clean already. I was luckily fueling my body with good food, but obviously not enough. So big red flag was gaining weight, the fact that I was always tired, and just really felt like death every single day.
I'm serious. When I interviewed Kim for my program, I could tell just by looking at her stuff and her photos, I was like, you have adrenal fatigue. I'm like, you are in severe adrenal fatigue. I'm like, when was the last time you just rested? And she's like, oh, she couldn't remember. So I knew that was a red flag. Now, some of you watching may not be able to relate to this because you're not an avid runner, or run marathons, or maybe you haven't really worked out. But the point I'm trying to show you is that she was in a severe stress state, right? Adrenal fatigue, dealing with lupus. So I feel like a lot of women who are going to watch this either have an autoimmune disorder or may have at one point overworked themselves. And that could be from stress too, just not slowing down, You have a busy job. So on top of that, she's a busy pharmacist. So it's one thing after another, and your body just starts to revolt, which is why she started to gain weight.
Yes. And it was just, in addition to that, I didn't have my period. I was constantly either hungry or I had no appetite at all. So and I remember when we first talked and you told me that I needed to rest, I'm like, okay, whatever. What is this lady talking about?
Find that word for me, please. She's like, am I going to gain weight? Am I going to gain more weight? I'm like, you actually lose weight by resting because you lower your cortisol. So
yeah. So I didn't really believe you at first, but I figured since
since I'm always.
What kind? Well, it finally dawned on me that like I have a doctorate in pharmacy. I do not have the credentials to be, making these like fitness decisions. Like I don't have any background.
Health decisions. Yeah, you have a background in pharmacy, but you weren't trained in nutrition, in adrenal fatigue.
Exactly.
And we're all experts in our own right. And I think I love that you pointed that out and you admitted that, because you are really smart. Even sometimes on the group calls, you'll bring up something I'm like, oh, really good point. I always love to listen to what my clients have to say, because I don't think I'm a know-it-all. I know a lot, but I definitely will say I'm an expert in the health and fitness realm.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you've been trying Beachbody and doing Weight Watchers and you've done keto and you're still stuck and you're still frustrated, like, it's time to ask for help, because you're probably not going to figure it out on your own.
Yeah, and I think for me, like being stuck in the Beachbody world, you get wrapped into it and you just think whatever they're telling you is what you should follow. In reality, it's what's led me to where I was. And once I started to get your help, it like weight immediately just went away. Like I deflated. I just deflated.
Yeah. But her photos are amazing. We'll share them in the comments section of this video, and they're all over my page and on Kim's social media at PharmDPositive. If you don't follow her, and there's my half naked boyfriend. Live recordings. Okay, so you went through. So you started the program. What were some of the biggest shifts you had, or are still having, like mindset and physical?
Well, I mean, one thing that I love about your program is that it does work on mindset, and it really like helped me find confidence again in just myself. And I realized the more negatively I thought about myself, I wasn't going to get anywhere. Like the more negative you are about yourself, you're just not going to get anywhere in life. So that is in and of itself one of the biggest mindset shifts, is just having that confidence, speaking up for myself, and being better about boundaries, things like that. But people ask me this all the time, like, what did you do? What did she have you do? Like, what's the biggest thing? And it's too complicated to really even answer that, because there are so many things. But
like, it's a holistic health culmination. That's the best way I could describe it. Because
yes.
Oh, well, we follow a nutrition plan and then we do fitness workouts. It's like, it's so much more than that. It's like, it is kind of hard to describe.
Yeah. And it's having that, like the weekly check-in calls, with the coaches, the weekly team calls, but like physically, probably the biggest thing was actually resting, because I went from running, 6 to 7 days a week to running only 4 days a week. And and strength training, no extra HIIT or cardio, only 3 days a week. And because of that, I mean, I ultimately Boston qualified. So it works.
Running less, eating more, weighs less, Boston qualifies.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
Mic drop. And then also eating more protein, which I was not eating enough protein.
Well, yeah, you're eating well. Kim is vegan. We do work with a lot of vegans in the program. We work with all different types of eating plans, but being vegan is fine. But what we notice when we work with a lot of vegans is they're definitely deficient in protein. You can eat all the carbs, and you're eating a lot of carbs and a lot of fat, but you were still, like, even with how active you are, the ratios were so off, and that's why your body also went into adrenal fatigue, because you didn't have the protein to support your muscle synthesis. So your body was just like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it was like, what the hell are you doing with yourself?
A much better balance. And I know you're not going to do this anytime soon, but I'd love to see what Kim looks like if she took a long running break and just did strength training. I'm dying to see what your body would look like, because you still essentially, there's a fine line between the cardio and the weight, and you still do run a lot, but I'm just like dying to see because you got muscular, but you would be like, your muscles be like popping.
Maybe someday I'll do a bodybuilding.
Maybe someday.
We'll someday.
Future goals when your legs are just like, stop, or you just need a break or something.
Yes, that we'll put that on the vision board.
Vision board for the future. Oh my God, awesome. Well, so you're doing so well now. Were you skeptical, because I think you were following me on social for a little while. Were you kind of like skeptical at all joining another online program after you did Beachbody, or were you just like, let's go?
I will admit I was skeptical,
Yeah.
primarily just because of the tactics, because I was actually a Beachbody, coach. You know, I hate that term now, but so like I knew their tactics on how to get people,
Right.
and you don't, I mean, you obviously don't do those types of things, but like I immediately have trust issues with
Yeah. A wall. Yeah.
yeah, but then I think it was you interviewed Chelsea. You did a Beachbody segment on your page, and then I was like, "That's me." Like, you know,
People were like, wait, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
and it kind of just clicked for me, and that's when I'm like, "No, Angelica is smart. She went to school for this. She has the training for this. Why am I taking advice from people that just maybe read a book or, something like that?"
That might have a background, but I think the majority of them are just like average
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
who are passionate about health who want to get into it. And I think I will say they have good workouts, but that doesn't mean
Mhm.
they're conducive to your body and your training. Like someone
Yeah.
who's training for a marathon needs different workouts than someone who just had a baby, than someone who's really lifting really heavy. So there's like all these different scenarios.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, I think when it clicked for me though was when I'm like, okay, if a patient comes to me and is saying, they did this research and they read on like WebMD that this was a good medication, I'm like,
That's your favorite thing. You're like,
yeah, but it's, I mean, it's the exact same thing as, kind of what I was doing. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And then when I started working with you, it's very clear that you, what you were doing. And I didn't need to be skeptical.
the Fit for Life system works. Yeah, I mean, we have so many clients at this point, almost 1,000 at this point. I've had really amazing results. So, what do you think your biggest takeaway has been so far?
It's a loaded question.
Good question.
I think honestly that you need to rest
You're gonna,
is probably the biggest thing for me, because I was pushing myself so hard that I was never resting. And like I would just go in these cycles of like crash, burn, gain weight, crash, burn, gain weight, and like looking back, it's like, no wonder why I felt like crap. And like now, 9 months later, I still am down the 27 pounds that I lost, in the first couple of months because I deflated.
all that information. But the thing is, you've maintained it, and we've also
Yes.
worked with Kim to go from really astutely tracking her macros to moving into intuitive eating. Now
Yes.
that's a hard transition, especially when you're a type A personality and you're
Yep.
like to be in control. But you're doing really great. And do you have moments where maybe you want to track again? Of course, but you're doing so well with it. And if you ever felt like tracking again, you totally could. But that was also a big transition for you. How do you
Yes.
feel now?
I feel a lot better about that now, and I think that's what's so great about your program, in addition to many other things. But I think, I mean, if you look on Instagram, the fitness world, a lot of people like preach track macros, track macros, track macros, and it's like that's not sustainable
For like
forever.
for some people,
Um,
they want to do it forever, but I certainly don't.
yeah, and I didn't say this earlier, but I have a passive and eating disorder. So one of my biggest goals was to like break that cycle. And that's one thing that you really helped me with. And I am so grateful for that, because it was terrifying at
Yeah,
first, but it's honestly like the best I've ever been with food. And it's like your program is so much more than like getting results. It's a mind shift. It's,
the mindset shift around the food.
yeah, better relationship with food, better relationship with your family. And I haven't told you this, but my mom said, she's like, I think Angelica has helped you more than your therapist ever has.
Woo, not the first time I heard that. Let's go. I'm gonna get my therapy degree. No, that's very sweet. But
And I'm getting like tearful saying that, but you really have, like, you've really changed my life for the better. And I think that, people that are skeptical shouldn't be skeptical, because it's not another thing.
yeah,
you know
it's definitely a different type of program, and I'm so proud of you. And also shifting into like it impacts so many other areas in your life, like your relationship with your husband, with your parents, moving into maybe a different area of career. Like
Mhm.
when you start to heal yourself from the inside out, you really see the world has so much more possibilities. And a lot of these women who are watching may be feeling stuck in their career, stuck in their life, so wherever, right? And it's like when you start to work on yourself truly internally, of course the physical changes too, but it just makes such a difference, right?
Yeah, it everything starts to attract. Like once you start to take care of yourself, you just attract so many other things, in your life and
Yeah,
as you go. So
totally agree. I love your mom, by the way. Hey, mom.
I
Um,
do too.
so what would you say to someone, because we work with like a lot of busy professional women like who are like, well, I just don't have time. I don't have time for a program like this. I don't have time to meal prep, blah, 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 blah. Like, what would you say to them?
Well, that's BS.
Of course.
But but I will say, if you don't think you have time, you have time. Like
Yeah,
you just don't have your priorities straight.
totally. I think meal
Like how
one day, right? One day, a few hours, you meal prep, you're done. Then maybe you do one skim later on in the week. I think people create scenarios in their head where it's like, oh, it's so much time. And the other thing is like, Kim, I'm not sure if we do this with your workouts right now, but there are some women in the program who really only want 20-minute workouts. I think you have probably
Yep.
5 minutes, but like if you really don't think you have time, you don't need to have a lot of time. Like you don't need to work out for an hour and a half. Like
No.
it doesn't need to be like that at all. Really, like it's just tailored to
Yeah, I think one thing that was really enlightening to me was like I literally tracked like what I was like doing during a whole day and like mindlessly scrolling on Instagram or Facebook, and you have time. You just
Oh,
have to
like
make
time
time.
tracking. My business coach made me do that, like a time tracking sheet. I was like, wow, I'm doing a lot of like busy work. I realized in my business, like I need to get a BA. Like,
Yeah.
why am I doing like mindless work, right? So
Mhm.
kind of realize like where your energy is going, which is great. So yeah, everyone has time, and you make time for what's important to you at the end of the day. So if
Yep.
weight loss is important to you, you're gonna make time, but you have complete support from me and the coaches, which is it's
Mhm.
not just like here's a meal plan, bye. Here's some workouts, bye. Like it's not.
Yeah, it's super flexible, and I think that's what I really appreciate because like I being a vegan, there's limitations obviously. But you were very approachable with that and like supportive and
Yeah, we
just
will figure it. Yeah.
very flexible. And I feel like anyone can make it work with just how your program is. Because I mean, I literally strength train 3 days a week, and I basically have there's
Yeah.
flat stomach, all the cute little booty, everything, and it's like
Yeah.
that's only 3 days a week.
3 days a week. That's what I'm saying. So like, I just looked at some other transformation photos in our shared drive, and I know this one client. She started a new job and she's not working out right now, but still her transformation is amazing. Just following like the nutrition protocol we give, the sleep protocol, the meditation, because all that stuff
Yeah.
really does help your body calm down and decrease that cortisol, which is really like what it's all about.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I think you're freaking amazing. You're such like a huge part of the tribe. You can never leave. Um, we love you. Kim
As long
has
as you don't
turned
kick me out.
a million friends into the program too, which we love because it keeps the tribe super tight knit. And we have our group call tonight, which I'm really excited about. We have those
Me too.
calls every Wednesday for those of you watching, and that's my favorite part of the program and my highlight of the week because I get to see everyone's faces. But any last words to anyone who might be watching this? Anything you want to say?
Well, if people are waiting for their sign, this is their sign.
This is your sign.
but but it but in all seriousness, if you're on the fence and you're just waiting for like the right time, there's never going to be a right time.
Right. And as
Ever.
we film this, people might watch this later, but this is the holiday time and we're still having women sign up because at the end of the day, like if it's not the holidays, then it's your birthday, then it's Valentine's Day, then it's 4th of July, then it's Cinco de Mayo. And at the end of the day, you need to learn how to navigate all these holidays and things or events.
Yeah.
As when travel opens up and people go on vacation, that's not a reason to not start on your health journey. Like you need to learn how to
Well,
work in all these
yeah.
situations.
And being in healthcare, I mean, the more you delay taking care of yourself, the closer you are to your grave. Like, you need to take care of yourself now. And that's like why it's so vital to do that and why what you're preaching is so true. But
Especially
I
in
could
this
talk all day.
I know we can go on about this. Well, especially in this day and age with COVID, and we don't know really what's going on. Your immune system it's vital, right? It's like we need to pay attention to that. And too many people, like I know during quarantine, got kind of lazy eating shit food, and not only does it attribute to them gaining weight, but it really affects their immune system. And I don't think everyone's thinking of that, but you're really allowing yourself to be susceptible to getting sick when you don't have a strong immune system.
Yep.
Which,
Yeah.
by the way, 70% of your immune system is hosted in your gut. So we do a lot of gut health in the
It's
program.
important.
Really, really, really important. So I'm just super excited for you and your future and for more races and maybe a bodybuilding competition in the future.
On the vision board.
On the vision board. No, but I'm just kidding. I'm just excited and we love you and I appreciate you.
Well, I love you.
Go
I
follow
think you know that though.
Yeah, go follow Kim on Instagram. She's very active there. She posts really great stories. She's very open and honest and real, as am I. Like, just we talk about all shit.
That's why I adore you.
Yeah. Farm D positive. She'll pop right up. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, can they reach out to you? Yeah.
Yes, happily. I would happily talk to anyone if you want to just connect or whatever. I share a lot of my running, mental health, and all that. So happy to talk to you anytime.
Ask him any questions about herself, her mental health journey, the program, anything. She's sweet, she's open, she's honest. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.